The U.S. Fire Administration, which is part of FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Division, said in 2020 the relative risk of an older adult dying in a fire was 2.5 times higher than that of the general population. It was the same risk in 2019. As we age, we have different needs as far as trying to survive a fire or as far as escaping a fire. So it's really necessary for a senior to create a fire escape plan that works with their limitations as they age, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, it's Robin with SeniorSafetyAdvice.com. Tune into our channel for tips and hints to help seniors and caregivers with aging in place safely. So as we age, as I said, our needs change. It's much more difficult maybe for somebody to survive a fire for the simple fact that they may have limited mobility. They may not be able to get out in time. They may not even hear the fire alarm in the first place if they're hearing impaired. They may have visual impairments that make it more difficult for them to survive a fire. So all those needs need to be taken into consideration when creating a fire escape plan for seniors. So the first thing is that clearly you should already have in your home things that will help you put out a fire. Things like a fire extinguisher, a fire extinguisher can. It's a spray can that acts like a fire extinguisher in case you have a cooking fire. Maybe a fire blanket if a fire extinguisher is too heavy for the senior or the senior is too frail. A fire blanket can help, especially with a cooking fire. So assuming that you have those things in place, if you don't, run out and get them, or I'm going to link them in the description and you can check them out. But assuming you have those things in place, then you need to draw up a fire escape plan. So the first thing that I want you to do is go from room to room, and in each room, I want you to find 2 ways to get out of that room. So for example, in a bedroom, obviously the first way out would be to go in or out through the door and into the rest of the house. The second means of getting out would be the window that's in the bedroom, assuming that you have one. So do that for each room that you have in the house so that you know if you can't see very well, where are you going to go if there is a fire? So also, if you are in a multi-story house, you need to do the same thing, but there are more considerations for a multi-story house. In that case, you really want to be sure that you have an escape ladder, and you should have an escape ladder for each story of your home. So if you live in a 3-story home, you want to be sure you have an escape ladder on the top floor and one on the middle floor, and then you wouldn't need one on the ground floor, obviously. The other thing to keep in mind is the health or the mobility of any seniors that are living in the home. If you're in a multi-story home and you have a frail senior who is actually able to go up and down stairs but may not be able to climb out a window and go down a fire escape ladder, you want to consider getting a fire evacuation chair, which is something that they can be put in, and then that chair can be lowered down to get them out of the house safely. The reason I want you to know 2 exits for each room is because that main exit in a room may be blocked. If you didn't wake up until a fire was raging right outside your bedroom door, it's possible that part of the ceiling or wall would have fallen in and you wouldn't be able to get out that door. So you need to be able to get out the window. So once you have identified in each room where your 2 exits would be, I next want you to draw up a floor plan of the house. Make sure that you clearly mark the exits, the windows, the doors, whatever. You clearly mark those exits for each room on that floor plan. Then make sure that each person who lives in that home with you reviews that plan so that everybody knows in this particular room you're going to go out this way or this way. Once you've done that, you need to make sure that you choose a meeting place outside the home, away from the home, and one that is easy to find in the dark. So if you live in a regular neighborhood type of a thing, a street light is always a good choice because you can see it in the dark everybody can head right for it, even if there are flames blazing and whatever. Another thing maybe would be like a big tree, if there was one that wouldn't not be catching fire, like not right directly in your front yard. You'd want it to be one across the street, that kind of thing. But choose a meeting place. That way, if there are several occupants in the home, you can do a head count and be sure everybody has gotten out. Other things to consider in your fire escape plan are any special needs. So, for example, is there somebody in the home who is using a wheelchair? Then you need to be sure that you have ramps in place, that you have marked on the floor plan of the house where these ramps are. It sounds silly to be saying that, but once you're in the middle of a fire and you're trying to react, it is difficult because everything is in chaos. There's flames, there's smoke, and you can't necessarily see where things are. So, wheelchair access, make sure those things are marked. If you have a service animal or you have a pet, you want to be sure that you have a way that you're going to be able to get that pet out as well. You also want to make sure that you have medical supplies if there are any needed. If the person needs particular medications, diabetes medical supplies, things like that, you want to have them in a grab and go bag that you can just easily run out of the house, pick them up on the way, and keep on going. The next thing to add to your fire escape plan is a communication plan, and that includes making sure everybody calls 911, which is a stupid thing to say because it's only 911, but in a panic situation, will you remember the numbers 911? Somebody who comes from a different country, maybe you've got a relative from the UK who's visiting you. Well, their emergency numbers are different than our emergency numbers in the US. So you want to be sure everybody knows how to call 911. You also want to be sure that you have information on how to get a hold of any family members or any neighbors that would need to know about the fire as well. The next step in your fire escape plan is to make sure that you put it into practice. That means practicing the plan every month or every other month, but frequently enough that you could do it automatically. Kind of takes you back to school drills when you were a kid, when you'd have fire drills and everybody'd have to walk outside. They even do work drills depending on what company you've worked for, but if you're in a big building, they usually do fire drills. You want to do the same thing and conduct your own fire drill so that everybody knows what they're going to do if they have to get out in a moment's notice. And then the last thing about the fire escape plan is if you have anything that changes, you need to be sure to update that plan. So if you renovate the home, maybe the exit you used to have in the bedroom isn't there anymore. Or maybe you got new furniture and it's positioned differently, and so you need to be sure that you can get out around that furniture. Things like that. Or if somebody moves into the home or out of the home, you need to revise your fire escape plan to take those things into account as well. So some tips. I don't know if you're aware, but they do have smoke detectors that have strobe lights, which works really well for hearing impaired people who may not be able to hear the alarm but could see the flashing light. Along the same lines, they have voice announcing smoke alarms for people who can't see, who are visually impaired. That way they can hear the voice say, there is a fire, get out of the house. And those type of alarms that have the voice on them should tell you what the location is. So that way the person who is visually impaired isn't running into the fire. Should say something like there's a fire in the kitchen, and then the person would know what area to avoid. It also is very beneficial if your smoke alarm is a combination smoke alarm carbon monoxide detector, especially in areas like I happen to have a gas stove. So it's possible that there would be carbon monoxide we wouldn't know. So you would want to, if you don't have a combo smoke alarm carbon monoxide detector, then get yourself a separate carbon monoxide detector to help keep you safe. The next tip is to make sure that you're checking your fire alarms regularly. They always say change your batteries on New Year's. I would tell you change them New Year's and 4th of July because you can't be too safe. And you also want to check them It should be monthly, but at least you want to check them when you're changing out the batteries. Now, if you have the hardwired ones, of course, then that's a little different. You're not changing them on a battery schedule, but then you do want to run around and make sure that you test them all periodically to be sure that they are working. The other thing you want to be sure that is working is the windows in the house. You don't want to have a window that's painted shut and now you think you're going to get out of that window in a fire, but you can't because it's painted shut. So do go through the house and be sure all of the windows and all of the doors are in working condition. If you live in an apartment complex, you want to open your front door and be sure that right by your apartment is a smoke alarm. There should be something like that in front of each apartment door in the main hallway of the apartment complex. Another good tip is to be sure that you sleep with the bedroom doors closed. This creates a barrier between a fire in the main part of the house and your bedroom, and that may buy you a little bit of time to be able to escape. Going back to if you have a pet in the house, service dog, family pet, whatever, you can get pet stickers. They're free from the ASPCA. I'll drop the link to that in the description below as well. But then you can put them on the doors of the house, the windows, whatever, so that first responders will know that there is a pet inside and they will look for that pet if you can't get them out. And last but not least, my final tip is to be sure that you practice your fire alarm safety plan, escape plan regularly. Practice makes perfect, as they say, and we don't want you to ever have to use it, but at least if you do have to use it, you'll be able to get out and hopefully be safe. So thank you very much for watching. If you know someone that you think would benefit from this video, please be sure to share it with them. Also, if you liked what we had to say in there, please give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. I think the button's down in this corner over here. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more helpful hints and tips. And also hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Until the next time, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.